Hey guys, welcome back to the Pursuing Excellence podcast. I'm your host, Jane Gay, and today we are going to be talking about controlling what you can control. Something that I feel like we all struggle with, right? Especially now in today's world, with so many things access, and at our fingertips, and everything going on right now in the world because there's a lot of stuff going on. Just so much coming at you, right? Every which way, especially for college students, in particular as well, for us. So it's just something that is still having to deal with, and be able to get to a point where you can just say, like, hey, that's out of my hands. I can't control that, right? Yeah, I mean, it's just one of those things there that I feel like I wanted to get on the podcast and talk about today. So make sure you guys subscribe to the channel here on YouTube. We're on Instagram as well and Twitter. So make sure you guys check us out on those channels. Also on not channels, on those platforms as well. And then of course, version the audio version of this podcast will be uploaded as well on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, all those different platforms. You can check us out there, follow us there as well. Yes, like I said, just controlling what you can control, right? I think that's the biggest thing. That's the biggest key. You just got to be able to control what you can control. I just saw something, but because I mean, you look at it, we always feel like we want to have a grasp on things, that even that we have no jurisdiction to even have a grasp over, right? Some things is that you just are going to be what they are, and that's nothing you can do about it. I look at things like, say for instance, you want to go to a like outdoor concert, right? And it starts raining, and the weather gets bad, and it gets canceled, right? That's something that's just out of your realm. Something that you have no role in as far as into fixing it or changing that particular outcome. And then it's just being able to grasp that and understand that some things just are going to happen the way they are, and there's nothing you can do about it. And I think it's something that you really have to sit down and understand. And one of the quotes I read this morning, I want to share with you guys, is by Roy T. Bennett. He said, instead of worrying about what you cannot control, shift your energy to what you can create. Again, I'm going to read that one more time. Instead of worrying about what you cannot control, shift your energy to what you can create. So instead of using all that time and effort and emphasis on worrying about things that are just that, nothing that things that happen that you have nothing to do with, that you can't, do anything about. Uh, Use that energy to, put it towards something that you can alter, that you can change, that you can modify, right? And if we're able to do that, then we will find ourselves more likely. Research would suggest to be more happy and, and yeah, just and have better order of things, right? Because when you're trying to force your hand on things that you just can't, it's just going to make you more stressed out when you realize that you can't do it. And then it's just also just going to create just again a whole bunch of problems that are unnecessary. When you're trying to play God and put your hands on things that you just can't. Some things are just you're gonna have to let happen the way they happen. You're gonna have to let them play out the way they're supposed to play out. You're going to have to just let things flow, have the way they are supposed to. And it's hard. We don't want to hear that. Nobody wants to hear that, right? But it's the truth at the end of the day. It's the truth at the end of the day. I mean, I look at it now. It's almost like if you think about it, you know, if you're wanting to get into a dream job, dream school, whatever, and when you submit that application, to those two things, whatever it might be for you, whatever the situation is, when you submit the application, your part in the process is over. Now it's out of your hands. Now it's in the hands of the university, in the situation of the college, or in that company's hands, whether they want to look, whether they look through your application and whatnot, and they decide whether or not they want to hire you, or the school decides whether they want to accept you into their university. So it's just those things, just being able to breathe and understand that some things are just you can't control. Some people you can't control. Even people come, go, relationships come, go, things like that happen in life that you just have no jurisdiction over. You just can't do anything about it. And it'll create it'll create much less psychological stress if you just accept that, right? And it is hard, but at the same time, what else are you gonna do? I mean, because at that point you can't. When something's done, it's done, right? Or things that you have no physical hand in, that you can manipulate, physically, through your behavior, then you're just going to have to accept that it's just that thing, whether it happened this way or this maybe something that didn't happen. You're just going to accept it either way, and move forward. Just pushing forward, failing forward, right? Just understanding that things aren't always going to go the way you want them to, but also at the same time, knowing that, hey, I still have the ability to control what I can control, and put in effort and work as far as into what I know that I can do, and then that's all you can do at the end of the day, right? That's all you can do at the end of the day. There's nothing much else you can do, knowing that you put in what you put in, knowing that you gave it all that you had, knowing that you worked hard, and just understanding that you will be rewarded when you do the right thing. It's we're not patient people. We aren't. We're not humans. We're not patient. I mean, even waiting in line at Starbucks for a coffee, if we're waiting for more than 7 minutes, we're everybody's starting to get ticked off, right? Just something that, even going back to the beginning of time, humans just have never been patient creatures. We haven't been people that, things that have been willing to that are willing to wait and just accept that some things take time to develop, to manifest, to fester, but once you finally do accept that, that when the end product is here, when it is realized for you, then you understand, oh, you know what, that was worth waiting for. That was worth, just sitting back and letting God take control of that, right? This leaving it out, it's out of my hands. Now I just know that I have to leave it to Him, or whatever the situation might be for you, as far as your spiritual beliefs in that regard. But, generally speaking, regardless of that, still just knowing that some things just are going to happen the way they are going to happen, and just getting that through your brain, accepting that, it'll make you feel so much better as a person, and I think that's just something that we all struggle with, and something that we're just gonna have to continue to get better at. Things happen, so you just a matter of how do you respond to it. We always talk about reaction and response, right? So things happen. Are you going to react to it? Just subconsciously, not thinking about it, no logical reasoning going through that process whatsoever? Or are you going to think that situation over? Are you going to hey, you know what? Maybe this is the approach, that this might be the better approach for me. This might be the best. I may not win in this particular scenario, quote unquote win, but hey, this might be the best outcome for me in this specific situation. So it's just really, being able to cognitively process these things, and letting that go through your synapses in your brain, and just understanding that some things you just can't control, but that you have to put in the effort each and every day to get better and work, right? I mean, it's a struggle sometimes. It can be a struggle. School, it's hard, right? I can say I'm a junior right now, third year college student. It's not easy. I mean, college isn't easy by any means, and whatever the case might be for you. But it's something that I know I have to do to get to where I want to be, and this is something that I want to do, right? So you're going to have to put in the work to get better. You're going to have to do the things that are necessary to ensure that that you are successful. And then you're going to have to sit back at other times also, and let things that you have no control over, let them work themselves out, let them manifest into how that they are supposed to manifest. And once you understand that, then, like I said, it's smooth sailing from there as far as, mentally. You'll save yourself a lot of mental trouble that way if you just go about it in that formation. And again, it's something that we're all dealing with, right? Something that we struggle with every day. We're humans. We're not perfect. We make mistakes. We try to dictate things that we have no business trying to dictate, right? And at the end of the day, sometimes you just have to say, hey, it is what it is. Let that be, and then things will work themselves out how they are supposed to. It's just understanding that, and it's, nobody wants to, but it's just at the end of the day, that's just what has to happen. I believe, so yeah, it's just one of those things. You have just something interesting to think about, though. And I would just say to everybody out there, particularly like students, I mean, like right now in school, hey, we're at that point where midterms coming up, right? Close to Halloween, Thanksgiving. This is usually the time where people start to kind of get a little slack, a little lazy. It starts getting cold outside. You don't want to go to class. It's cold. You want to stay in that bed in the dorm. You want to do whatever. You want to go party every weekend, right? um, you know, just I'm not telling anybody what to do. I'm just saying, just think about it. Just really just sit down and think. Um, you know, the things what you have a hand in, what you can control, you decide, right? And you decide that outcome, and that will eventually it leads to the outcome of whether it'll be a positive or negative for you. So you just really think about that decision that you have to make, right? It seems very tedious, but I mean, really, if you actually sit down and cognitively analyze, situations, the choices that you have to make, then you come to the understanding that, hey, maybe this either it's very binary. Yeah, either this is going to be it's going to work out for me or it's not. And you have to assess that. And just being able to come to those terms and understand, um, the decisions that we make and how impactful they can be on a regular basis is very important, extremely important. So just think about that, guys. Today on the podcast, I just wanted to hop on and talk about that. Control what you can control. Don't worry, about things that are out of your realm. People that are out of your realm. If you, for example, if you're interested in someone and they're not interested in you, right? If it's romantically or whatever it might be, like, hey, you know what? If it doesn't happen, it doesn't happen. That's just something that you have to understand, right? It's just being able to get that through your head, right? And just know some things just aren't some. I believe it to be like this. There's a cause and effect for everything. It's a simple way of putting it, right? And it's just things will happen. Everything happens for a reason. And we all hear that phrase a lot. It's kind of cliche. It's become cliche, I guess you could say, in a sense. But it's true. Everything does happen for a reason. You may not know what that reason is at the time. You may never know. But generally speaking, you'll know at some point throughout your life. But some things you're just going to have to understand and accept that hey, there is a reason that this happened, that this didn't happen, that this person did this, or that this person didn't do this, whatever it might be, so on and so forth. You have to just accept that, and continue to move forward and progress forward. This life is too short to be playing around, guys. It's too short. We don't have you just don't know all the stuff going on. It's just a lot of craziness going on. So now it's a time more than ever where we have to just, sit down and come together and, just continue to do the right things and, just do the right things and make the right decisions. So I'm gonna leave you guys with that tidbit there on the podcast, but make sure you, again, check us out on YouTube, subscribe to the channel. We're also on Spotify, all audio platforms, and make sure you guys check out my book, The Soldier, now available on Amazon for purchase. Would appreciate if you support there. I'll drop a link in the video when it's posted on YouTube in the description. So be looking out for that. And I'll leave you guys with that. Enjoy the rest of your Thursday.